just look at this beautiful and super shiny panel I've just created. Hello and very warm welcome everyone, it's Marta here, and today I have fabulous technique for you. This is the layered embossing technique, so stay tuned if you would like to see how did I create this lovely panel. Now all you're gonna need is some clear embossing powder plus some additional shiny powders. Here I am using gold and silver, but you can choose your own color. You can experiment with different shades and different colors as well. Now I'm starting from creating my own card base, but if you have ready-made card base, that'll be working well as well. The idea for today's card, I have actually when I was cleaning, I found this paper pad which I have for quite some time, and when I was looking through this pad, I've noticed this beautiful design paper you can see here, and this one is just screaming to me Christmas wrapping present paper. This was my first idea, and I was like, oh, this will be great for creating some sort of a shiny Christmas card. And then I thought, why not combine all the things I like and turn it into a beautiful Christmas card. So here I'm just adding a piece of the holographic paper because I do think that Christmas cards, they should be festive, and there's nothing better than adding a little bit of some shiny paper. And here this super teeny very thin narrow frame around the paper is making it stand out even more. Now I have some spare circles in my scrap little box here, so I've decided to use it, but it doesn't have to be circle. You can reach for any shape you'd like. The main thing is to cover it very well with the clear embossing powder, and you can also use a colored paper as a starter. I would rather recommend you to use colored paper rather than inks, because if you will put some ink coloring on your paper and then you will heat set the clear embossing powder, sometimes the clear embossing can kind of soak up the ink if it's not dry properly, especially if you're using some like inks like distressing, traditional distressing. The oxide ones, they dry, they will be dry, but it's definitely better to make sure that your inks are dry if you're coloring your circle with some inks. Here is my little possum assistant. He is checking how is my work in progress going, making sure I am creating the best results for you. So here I add the second layer of the embossing, and once again my kitty is just checking the quality of my work. So whenever I'm working, sometimes I'm just having those cuddly breaks, but because he was keep coming back on my desk, I just thought, okay, I'll just carry on. So I'm keep adding those embossing layers one by one, and then I actually eventually I did 3 layers. I wasn't like blowing the hot air right beside my kitty, I just took him away, but before we just had to have couple minutes of the cuddle for ourselves. And here you can see me, I'm drying the last layer of my clear embossing powder. Once you finish with 3 or 4 layers, you should have this beautiful like enamel effect. And what we're gonna do next, I will start from using some sort of a stencil. And very important step here, before you will put your stencil onto your embossed piece, it's for the best result you better use some sort of a baby powder or this like an anti-static tool, because the clear embossing powder, even once it's dry, it could be a little bit sticky. Here, to help myself to distribute the embossing ink through the stencil, what I like to do, instead of trying to press my pad, I use a piece of the beauty sponge, and I have this embossing re-inker, and this is such a huge change rather than trying to pad with the embossing ink. So I do highly recommend you to buy the re-inker if you can. And here you can see how beautiful impression of these stars I have, and in few places I just did a little bit clearing with my brush, but it doesn't matter because even if it's like not perfect, it will still look beautiful. Because my stencil wasn't large enough, I just added couple extra stars to the side. And here I didn't use any baby powder or anti-static tool, and once I put the embossing on top of the circle, I had this silver powder everywhere, so I just had to make sure I clean it up so it will look nice. Now, here is the fun part of this technique. Once I have all my stars melted, I am just taking a little pinch of the embossing powder and I am gently sprinkling it. But you just have to wait until all your circle is kind of a heat up, so that way once you sprinkle the little particles of the embossing powder on your circle, they kind of stick in and melt on the place, because if your circle it's not going to be heated up properly, all the powder will be blown away with your heat tool. So just wait till it's nice and warm, and then you can sprinkle a little bit of the silver, gold, or whatever color you'd like. You can experiment, you can mix and match different layers. And what's happening now, because we have quite a few layers of the embossing, we are having this multi-dimensional, beautiful, shiny look. And you can see here how awesome this looks like. And it's literally taken me just a few minutes, few rounds of the embossing, like firstly clear and then something from the stencil, or for example you can use the stamp as well. If you've got some stamps, you can actually stamp the second image and redo it this way, and this is just absolutely beautiful look. To finish off my circle, I've decided to actually give it a little extra border. So for that, I am using the gold embossing powder, and I took my embossing pad and I went over just teeny tiny bit on the edge. And rather than sprinkling my embossing all over the place, I've put myself a little piece of the embossing powder on this paper, and I'm just rolling this circle, all edge around, so the embossing powder will stick only till the edge. And once I'm happy, once I have all the circle complete, then I will remelt the powder, so that way I will have this beautiful border all around my focal point. And once you're gonna add your embossing powder to the edge, you don't have to be super precise, because this powder, once it's melting, it's kind of a flow on the surface of this, focal point. So you have this beautiful layered, like it's just super, super fun technique, and I absolutely love the final result. You can see here another close-up look, and because my element got a little bit wonky, I didn't hold it flat once I was heating it. I'm just gonna help it stand straight by using piece of the cardboard underneath. You can also use double-sided foam tape, but I just find it that the cardboard is working the best, and it's just help it to stay nice. Here I'm taking my holographic paper, and I don't want to use the whole piece underneath this design paper. So for that, I am using this quick and simple technique which I was sharing with you in my last video, and I am cutting out the square inside of this holographic paper. That way I have this additional piece, which then I can use it later on, and it will actually come handy, because in a minute I will be cutting my sentiment actually using this this piece, so no one will see there's missing paper behind your front panel, so there's no point for wasting it. I'm adding my liquid glue to all the edges of the design paper, and then I am adhering it on top of the holographic paper. Now I'm just gonna be using this Merry Christmas die, and this comes from the Lou Collins texture. This is very old. I think it was this die set, this particular one was released like 3 years ago or something. But you can use whatever you have if you've got some different dies, or even like printed sentiment. You can stamp and emboss it with gold or silver. That will be looking great as well. And because there's a little bit of the navy color on this stripe design paper, I also reached for this navy color cardstock to cut the shadow piece for my sentiment. I think it's just gonna be enhancing this sentiment and make it pop even more. Now I am adding a little dash of the glue to the edges and to the central part of my card, and I am adhering it to the card base. Always make sure that you have your card base right way up as you want to, because too many times I'm adhering everything, and once I finish making my card, the card is either sideways or upside down. So always double check before you actually adhere your layers. Here I am adding this piece of the cardboard to this embossed piece, and it's good to just hold it for like a 20 seconds just to make sure the glue will catch it up perfectly. Here I have those like a little string of the plastic pearls, and I thought this will be looking nice, like this little extra hanging piece for my Christmas bubble, because this is where I am aiming. And today I want to create the card which just resemble like the Christmas ornament. So I thought these little pearls, they will be looking nice. Here I had this little accident with my glue. I left it heating up for far too long, so that's why my glue is all yellow. But it's still working fine. It's just not very aesthetic. But one thing I need to tell you, my friends, that I've bought this Sizzix glue gun, which is super great, and I love it. And I bought it especially that it has this little light, so it could tell me that it's turned off, but I'm still leaving it turned on. Like few times I already forgot about it, and it's just, you know, it was lying there heating up the glue all the time. Here I am adding the sentiment by using my favorite technique. It's nothing complicated. You just put a little dash of the glue on your hand, and then you just taping the sentiment which you want to put on the front. That way it's just adding this teeny tiny amount of the glue, especially to those intricate dies, whether it's like a very thin word die or some sort of like an intricate lacy design. So I find this technique working perfect, and it's just so much easier and less time consuming rather than me trying to use the glue. Even those type of the glue which they have this specialty very thin nozzle, I'm still, you know, it's just too much time for me, so that's why I'm adding the glue to my hand. Here I have this beautiful organza ribbon with this satin edge, and I thought this will be looking nice to complete my Christmas ornament with this nice bow. And I'm also having some gold, like kind of like a flower centers, those little buttons, which I've planned to use, but later on I've decided that's just gonna be too much. Here I have my very big like a sewing scissors, and I do recommend you to keep the pair, especially for cutting ribbons. I find it that too many times I was cutting those ribbon ends, and the ribbon was like shredding, and it was because my scissors were either not sharp enough, or they were just, you know, like a dirty with some glue residue. So I have special scissors just for cutting my bows, like my ribbons or lace, something like that, and I don't mix it up with anything else. So here you could see I had this like a additional golden pearl. but I just thought it's just too much, it's too bulky on the center, like to add it to the center of my bow, so I just give it up this idea. To adhere my sentiment, I am adding teeny tiny dots of the hot glue, and then I am just adding it to my card, so a little extra piece is kind of hanging out from the ornament. I think it's just adding this nice dimension to the card, and it's just giving this nice interest as well. And because I added this piece of the navy cardstock underneath my sentiment, I think it's just giving this extra pop, and it make it standing out even more. To finish off my card, I'm gonna be adding a couple of the extra golden pearls, which I am just kind of randomly scattering in few places, and the card will be finished. I hope you enjoy today's video, and if you do, please don't forget to give a like, to say hi in a comment. Let me know if this technique has sparked some joy and this is something you would like to try. I would love to see your card, so if anyone will create something based upon my tutorial, please share it on our Facebook group. I would love to see it. So that will be me for today. Once again, thank you so very much for all your like and shares and comments, and I hope to see you shortly. Have a wonderful day, my friends, and bye-bye.